DSLR cameras have been around for a long time, and they're still very popular among photographers. They offer a number of advantages over mirrorless cameras, including larger image sensors, better low-light performance, more durable construction, wider range of lenses available. However, DSLR cameras also have some disadvantages, such as they're heavier and bulkier than mirrorless cameras, they have a shorter battery life, they're not as good at autofocus for video. In recent years, mirrorless cameras have become increasingly popular, and they're now the camera of choice for many professional photographers. However, DSLR cameras are still a great option for many people, especially those who are on a budget or who need a camera that's durable and can withstand a lot of use. If you're considering buying a second-hand DSLR camera, there are a few things you need to weigh. Pros of buying a second-hand DSLR camera: save money. Second-hand DSLR cameras are often much cheaper than new ones. You can often find a great deal on a second-hand DSLR camera, especially if you're willing to buy a slightly older model. Get a higher-end camera. If you're on a budget, you can often afford a higher-end DSLR camera if you buy it second-hand. For example, you might be able to afford a professional-grade DSLR camera for the same price as a new entry-level camera. Get a camera that's been well cared for. Many people who sell their DSLR cameras have taken good care of them. They may have only used them for a short time, or they may have used them professionally but always kept them clean and in good condition. Cons of buying a second-hand DSLR camera. Risk of buying a damaged camera. There is always the risk of buying a damaged camera when you buy it second-hand. It's important to carefully inspect the camera for any damage before you buy it. Risk of buying a camera with a hidden problem. It's also possible that the camera has a hidden problem that you won't be able to detect until you start using it. For example, the shutter may be worn out, or the sensor may be damaged. Things to keep in mind when buying a second-hand DSLR camera. Buy from a reputable seller. When you're buying a second-hand DSLR camera, it's important to buy from a reputable seller. This could be a camera store, an online retailer, or even a private seller. If you're buying from a private seller, make sure to meet them in person and inspect the camera carefully before you buy it. Inspect the camera carefully. Before you buy a second-hand DSLR camera, inspect it carefully for any damage. Look for any cracks, dents, or scratches on the body of the camera. Also, check the lens for any scratches or fungus. Test the camera. Once you've inspected the camera for damage, test it to make sure it's working properly. Take some test shots and make sure that the images are clear and sharp. Also, test the camera's autofocus and video recording features. Ask about the camera's history. If you're buying a second-hand DSLR camera from a private seller, ask them about the camera's history. How long have they owned it? How often have they used it? What kind of conditions have they used it in? If you're considering buying a second-hand DSLR camera, weigh the pros and cons carefully. If you're buying from a reputable seller and you carefully inspect and test the camera before you buy it, you can find a great deal on a second-hand DSLR camera.